Sherry, I failed you. I didn't get any music playing. I know. It's because of the copyright laws last time they got me.
Good looking group here.
It's yeah, we'll see how many show their faces here. They're hiding from us.
Well, hi. Can y'all see me?
We got you.
Awesome.
We got you. All right, it's 12 o'clock. Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
One of these things doesn't belong.
I know. What? I wonder what that is. I wanted to thank everybody for making some time to be here. Really excited about the topic today, and I don't know how many of you. Let's mute everybody and then bring them back. Okay. All right. Cool. Are we muted? Alex, can you hit that? Are you co-host? No. All right. Blah blah blah. All right. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Okay, so I kind of got mad at Allison a little bit when she asked me to be on this because I immediately said yes, because it's you guys. And then y'all sent me the flyer and I was the big head.
Right.
And nobody told me. I thought I was just going to be like one of the many, which I of course I am, but I don't deserve the big head.
Well, let me tell them a little bit about you, because you're not gonna give us any stats here. So Anna is Gary Keller's top 100. What else we got? You crush it in Atlanta. Anna K is in town. Is that right?
Anna K, yeah, the Anna K in town team. We're primarily focused on the in town market.
That's right. If you have referrals for Atlanta, she does an absolutely amazing job. Our partner in crime from yesteryear, Allison Clark's on her team. And yeah, what else, Anna? You were on Bravo, is that right?
I snuck onto Bravo for one season. We did a really fun renovation show. It was called Buying It Blind. I tried very hard not to have that opportunity, and somehow they kept coming back. So I said, this must be something I should be doing right now. It was super fun. And I forget about it until somebody brings it up. So thank you.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I think I should get out of here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, whoa. There, like Anna said, one of these things is not like all the others. So Jeff, you're actually not qualified to lead this discussion today.
Fair enough.
Anna, I'm going to take the reins here with you. I work alongside Jeff, and I'm super honored to be a part of this group of amazing women. I don't know you, Anna, but I have heard from Allie that you may actually deserve the big head. It sounds like you run quite the show in Atlanta. So we appreciate you being here.
I'm honored to do it. Thank you.
And just, Anna, you don't know, but I think everybody else does. I have been on maternity leave, and this is my coming back. So I'm excited to be a part of this mastermind today.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So just to set some expectation for everybody, Anna, we have prepped some questions, and I'm going to ask Anna the questions. And just to stay rolling, I'd love for you guys to take notes and write down questions that you have for her at the end. So Anna and I will chat here in the beginning. And then Anna, we'd love for you to stay on and continue kind of masterminding with us after you're done answering questions. But if you need to go on and get to an appointment, we understand. So if you guys are ready to go, I'm going to get going. Does that sound good, Anna?
Sounds great. Yeah, I'll hang on. I might have to mute my screen for a minute. Nobody wants to see me eat lunch at 2:00. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, and I am happy to have you lead me through whatever you guys are going to find value today. Allison gave me some, questions to think on and ponder, to be prepared to elevate the way that you guys think. And I'm really honored to be a part of a strong group of women that want to, raise how they do business, and also just be better moms and better wives, and also better career people, and counterbalance all those things. So happy to help in any way that I can.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Alex, will you mute everybody again?
Mute everybody, and then Anna and Hannah, just make sure that y'all unmute so people can hear you.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, Anna, so we'll dive in. Okay. Anna, what did you do before real estate?
Great question. I was, in my mind, never destined to be in real estate. I actually have an information systems background. That might sound a little nerdy to you all. I'm one of those really neat generations called a Zennial. And it's just right before millennials. It's the folks that went into college without technology and then came out of college using the internet and having email and all those things that we are so used to now. And I learned a lot about process engineering, like how to actually make things efficient using technology. And Allison will tell you that that's something that I kind of get stuck on sometimes. It's my natural tendency. But I worked for a healthcare consulting firm right out of college. I loved traveling and then I hated it all at the same time. So after about 2.5 years, I stayed local to Atlanta and started working for a brand strategy company with about 5 employees. And that was really fun, sort of whimsical, kind of tuning into my creative side. And my brothers, both being in the mortgage business at the time, and my dad being very heavily involved with Keller Williams and in real estate, were very kind of not pressuring me, but just kind of saying like, hey, when are you going to start building your wealth? Like, why are you working in this employee type of role when you've got access to real estate? And I said, well, I have great Sky Miles. I have health benefits. Like, I'm platinum, like, don't make me quit my job kind of thing. And then they kind of turned me on to the idea of buying my first home at 25, which I was really nervous to do. I was earning maybe about 60 grand a year and just thinking, how in the world could I afford a house making 60 grand? And I ended up sort of haphazardly buying a duplex in this historic neighborhood that was pretty run down at the time, and didn't know what I didn't know, and didn't know that a duplex was a great way to build wealth, and just closed on the property. And the guy that renovated the property was this local builder. He was the worst businessman on the face of the earth. I learned everything not to do from him. I went to work from him, learned how to renovate homes. I was his sort of project manager, construction manager, getting permits, paying his workers, ordering materials. And then at 26, he was like, look, I have to sell these houses. Can you just get your license or something? Do you mind selling them for 1%? And I was like, that's a crap ton of money. Absolutely. So I took this very underpaid job and let him take advantage of my real estate license unknowingly, and found very quickly that as I was turning 27 and 28, that a lot of my friends were going to be first-time home buyers. And I was the only realtor in their network, because how many realtors do 15 years ago that were selling real estate in their 20s, and started helping all them. And then the rest is really history. The next chapter of the story is how the business was built and where we've come from there. So I sort of avoided it at all costs and found that it was probably my natural path. And I needed to stop resisting the opportunity to do something at a really high level that would, you get back what you give, and I feel like in my old corporate world, I was operating at 60% capacity and getting raises and promoted. And I was sort of underwhelmed by that. Like, they didn't feel very purposeful, and I didn't feel empowered or fulfilled by that. And then going into business for myself, just opened a lot of doors I didn't even know existed.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask how you made the transition from your info systems job into real estate, but you answered that. So it sounds like it was natural, whether you liked it or not.
Well, I will argue that probably everybody on here, and I don't know if we have a mix of, new agents or top producers. Like, if you could maybe give me some context, is the qualification that you're a woman to be on here? Like, I don't know what audience I'm talking to per se, but regardless where you came from, like whatever your prior path was, absolutely is providing a success path for your future. Mm-hmm. And I help so many people sort of understand, like, hey, I was a teacher, or hey, I was a firefighter, or hey, I was a logistics coordinator, and what types of qualities you can bring forward to kind of convey your value in the world that you're in. Because even if you're new, or maybe you haven't sold as many properties as you think, and you still consider yourself sort of a rookie, if you will, there's so many things that you've done in your past that will empower you to be successful in your current role. And you need to think about what those are.
I love that. I hope you guys wrote that down, because that's very true, no matter what your role was prior to real estate. What, Anna, as a mom, a business owner, an entrepreneur, how do you find balance, or do you have balance? What is your personal life versus professional life look like day to day?
Y'all have a difference? I don't know that I have a difference between personal and professional. Look, I chose real estate as a vocation. And I think I want people to hear that's on this call. Like, if you don't love this, I'm not trying to talk you out of the business, but you need to have a reality check. Like, you need to really love what you do to be really great at it. So I would start with, is my heart in this? And then you can decide, like, where do I create space for myself to have counterbalance? And for me, you know, I'm a mother of 2 kids. I'm a wife. I have other businesses. I have multiple rental properties. I like to dabble in things like TV. I play tennis. You know, there's all these things going on my calendar that can fill up very quickly. And the goal is to not be super busy. But I think you need to really kind of get clear on what your priorities are. Like, what are your main, what are the things that you want to spend your most time doing? And like, for me, I had to get clear that I either want to be spending my time making money, spending my time doing something that I love doing, or spend my time doing something with somebody that I love doing something with. And if it doesn't fall into one of those 3 buckets, I had to get it off my plate. And I think the answer to your question is leverage. And I don't necessarily mean that it doesn't mean that you need to have this massive team, but even leverage in your personal life. Like, if you guys are stressing out and you're a mother and you're like, you take appointments in the evening and you're really stressed out about the fact that you can't give your kids the perfect, you know, meat and 3 meal, and you didn't make it from scratch, like, give yourself some, you know, forgiveness. Like, understand that your kids are learning things from you that they may not get from a stay-at-home mom, and to not give yourself so much pressure to feel like you have to do everything all the time at a 10, you know. So as long as my kids have a healthy meal and they're eating every day, like, to me, I'm checking that bucket, right? I'm also showing them what hard work and perseverance and grit look like. So I have to just kind of decide, like, am I doing the things that matter to me? And am I giving my family and the people in my life what's important to them, if it's also important to me? So you can't say yes to everything, right? Because not everything is considered equal in terms of its value or its fulfillment.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point. When we hear the word leverage, we often think of, oh, real estate team, I have to build a team. But leverage can come in the form of, you know, ordering HelloFresh or whatever it may be. You can leverage any number of things in your life. It doesn't have to be hiring your first admin. But I think that's something we forget also. And
yeah, like, and like, again, kind of going back to, like, is it moving the ball forward for our family's finances? Is it providing me joy? Or is it something that, like, I enjoy doing this with this person? And, you know, I have a really, really great real estate coach, and she kind of had me sit down and do this sort of value assessment at the end of last year to decide, how do I prioritize what I say yes to? And I came up with 5 words that are values to me. There are 5 values that, if I can't sort of say that what I say yes to is going to check 3 out of 5 of these, I will not say yes to it. So I'll share it with you. I don't know if y'all can see this. It's freedom, because that's my big why, is freedom of choice. Like, the reason that I get up and hustle every day is because I want choices. And I don't want people to tell me what I can do, or when I can do it, or how I can do it, or that I can't do it because of time, money, or availability. It's got to excite me. It's got to be something where I can feel some sort of achievement. And that can be as little as cleaning out my closet, right? It's got to be principled, meaning that it's got to have something that raises the way that I think or see something, and that it's not just status quo. And it's got to be impactful. And so when people ask me to do something, like, for example, like Allison's like, hey, could you teach this class on Monday at noon? Well, you know what? That's really exciting to me. And it feels really goal oriented because I'm giving back to other people. And it feels impactful because I hope that you guys can take away at least one nugget of something that I say that impacts your life. And hopefully it's high-minded, right? We're sharing, we're masterminding together. So that checks 4 out of my 5 boxes, you know, and that's a big yes for me. So you've got to get clear on what it is that's important to you before you give your time away to things that don't matter.
I like that. And it can be something as simple as those 5 words, like you just showed us. It doesn't have to be a big, huge paragraph of, oh, does this work or this not work? I love that checklist. Anna, you mentioned your real estate coach. What female leaders in the industry do you look to as your mentors?
I have quite a few of them actually. Kate Patulski is my coach. She was head MAPS coach for a long, long time. And she broke off and went and did her own thing. I feel like if you don't necessarily know, like maybe your mentors are celebrities, or maybe these people feel like they're untouchable. But right now, there's really a lot of ways to have access to mentors in this industry. I would say that you should first start participating in all the benefits and offering that Keller Williams has, so coaching is one of them, Mega Agent or Mega Camp is one of them, Masterminds like we're doing right now. And then just starting to raise your hand to get noticed, right? Busy people are not looking to waste their time with people that don't want to put the work in. So for example, Kay Evans, who is my dad's business partner for the Southeast region, I look up to her so much. She's classy. She completely restarted her career at 60. She could have retired at Jenny Pruitt working for the Atlanta Board of Realtors, and she said yes to an opportunity at 60 that made her a, multi-millionaire. And so in order for me to have her be a mentor to me, I need to raise my hand and get noticed. I have to be so good at what I'm doing that people can no longer choose to ignore me. Mm-hmm. If you're a silent agent and you're not out there asking great questions and not asking how you can contribute or saying in curiosity, then it's really, really hard for somebody really great to say that they're willing to mentor you. Wendy Papazan is one of them. She's the wife of Jay Papazan. I met her at the One Thing Couples Goal Setting Retreat, which was put on by Jeff Woods and Jay Papazan. If you've not read The One Thing, definitely a great book. And I made it a point that when I went to that program, I paid a little extra for the VIP access, which really was not astronomically more expensive, but made a point by saying, when I get there, I'm going to sit next to Wendy Papazan. And I did everything that I could to make sure I had a seat next to her. And then we laughed and cried and we bonded. And now I can pick up the phone and call her and ask her about anything in her business. And I feel like these people that you ask to be your mentors, they don't need to be on TV. They don't need to be famous. They can just be somebody that's in your world that's doing something really great, that sees that you're making the effort to also be great, and people want to help.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you mentioned getting on masterminds, making yourself known. What are you doing to develop leadership skills as an entrepreneur? Obviously you're doing masterminds, but what else are you doing to continue to grow?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you asked. First, I step up. The more I teach, the more I learn. Every time I have the opportunity to sit down and do something like this, I have to sort of spend some thinking time to reflect on what has made our business so great. What are the steps that we're taking that are going to take us to the next level? So stepping up and saying, hey, maybe I don't know everything that I'm supposed to know, but I know enough and I can add value. So being willing to give back to the people around you. I also listen to every podcast in the world. It's a problem that I have. I listen to the One Thing podcast. I listen to Empire Builders, which is Wendy Papazan, Seychelle Van Poole. Who else is on there? Sarah Reynolds. It's really great. It's about female empire builders, which each of you all are. I read books, and I say read with like an asterisk because I actually really listen to them. I don't have a attention span to be able to sit down and read books, but I listen to books. I listen to people that have come before me, like leaders like John Wooden. And also, podcasts of people that are in the business that are doing things outside of real estate. It's not always real estate related. Ben Kinney's got a great Win, Make, Give podcast, and Andy Stanley, if you've heard of him, he's a pastor for a Christian community. He's got a great podcast on leadership. So there's an endless way to kind of stay sharp and to sharpen your tools. I listen to it in the car when I'm driving to appointments. I'm the weirdo that listens to things in the shower. I have my kids try to like beat down the glass door, but I'm usually like listening to something, and that's my safe space. So just always be curious.
So on that note of appointments, so you do still work with clients. You're very actively involved day to day.
That is a new thing. I have a goal this year to have our team succeed at a high level without my production. And that will be kind of the first year that we've I will probably always sell, a smattering of people just to drink the water, to understand what my team is experiencing, to help my best VIP clients. But the goal is to give maximum opportunities to my team so I can spend more time doing this, which is really what I love doing. So it'll be really interesting. I'm just kind of trying to get people up to speed so I can pass the baton and feel really good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it goes back to your number one thing, freedom. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered in real estate? And I know we've had COVID or we do have COVID. So it could be COVID related or even prior to that.
The biggest challenges that I think that we're facing in real estate is, at least on my team right now, is successful scalability. And, I realized at some point in my career, I would say every year we've exceeded the year before. And that feels really good to pat yourself on the back to say, wow, look at where I've come. But that was a really, really messy journey. And I think growing a team can be very challenging in the sense that you have to be okay with failing your way through that, right? You're going to make some bad hires. You're going to be in misalignment. You're going to have some really great people, and trying to figure out all sides of how that's going to fit together it can be really challenging. But the biggest thing that I face as a leader right now is making sure that the brand and the quality of service doesn't suffer as we grow. And that's a big, big thing, because everybody's got this belief that nobody can do it as good as you can, or nobody can do it as good as I can. And that's not true. It comes down to what training and coaching and accountability is in place to make sure that these people are stepping into that model. So that's my internal struggle. I would say the external struggle, and I'm sure you all are feeling this right now, is how do we become so valuable to our clients that we never have to compromise our standards for what we earn? And I feel like, as the Redfins and the Zillows and the iBuyers and, downward pressure on commissions, lack of inventory where sellers can feel like they can do it themselves. I don't totally know what your market's like, but every single day we interview for our job. And if you haven't mastered how you tell people what you do, that it's super clear and digestible such that it stands out that you do something better than the next person that's going to walk through the door, then you're ultimately compromising the industry, and you're ultimately compromising your livelihood. So I think for us is just constantly staying in, like, how do we communicate value super clearly to people that they want to stand in line and work with us.
Yep. I like that. So as you come up against this obstacle of scalability and replicating or not letting your brand suffer as you grow, how are you conquering that? Or maybe you're in the midst of it, maybe you haven't conquered it, but how do you respond when you come up against these kind of obstacles?
So the way that I'm wired, and I don't know where I got this gift, but I'm really grateful that I have it, is honestly, I would sort of file it under, maybe when people ask me what my superpower is like solving problems, right? Mm-hmm. I think that when we're faced with the challenge, there's the whole fight or flight mentality. Some people cocoon and they just disappear, and they kind of like get frozen over. They don't really know how to take action. I find that by taking action, it removes fear, because I'm doing something. I'm trying to solve the problem. So I don't know if you'll have ever heard this saying, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but when you stare opportunity in the face, whatever that obstacle is, that your goal, your lifestyle, everything that you're looking for, your hopes and dreams, is literally on the other side of that obstacle. So you have to have a super clear understanding of what it is that you're willing to overcome, such that you can get to your goal. But you also have to decide, is what's on the other side of the obstacle worth facing that challenge, right? Not every hill is worth climbing, right? So just because you face a problem doesn't mean it's worth having to like give your all to like just conquer the problem because you say you can. You have to know what's on why are you working through that? Like I'll just say, like, hiring, for example, like there have been people that have come on our team that are really, really great people, but maybe not in alignment with what our mission, vision, and values are. And I know by getting out of business with that person, it's going to create way more work for me and way more challenges for me and for our team to kind of rework that. But I'm not going to compromise my standards for what our team is to stay in business with that person. So I have to move past that obstacle because I know it will free me up to find the space for the right person for helping us achieve our goals. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. This is a two-part question. Where do you see future opportunities for yourself in the industry? And where do you see opportunity for other women in our industry?
It's really interesting. I know this is a women-led women mastermind, but I'll say this with all of my heart. I don't see a difference between an opportunity for a man and a woman. I see opportunity as opportunity. Mm-hmm. And regardless of how you were born and what you identify with, you can go get whatever you want. And you need to believe that, and you need to hear that. I would say the opportunities that I see for me personally is I do love helping women succeed. I do love seeing people that have said, you know what, I can be a mother and a business owner. I can be, a wife and a business owner. And it's not the man that's necessarily bringing home the bacon these days. I think on average, women are earning more than men. But also I don't want women to just earn more than men. I want women to feel fulfilled. And I want women to feel like they're not having to give up their soul to be really successful in a career because of all the pressures that we have to be a great mother and to be a great wife and to, do what the Bible says. And I'm Christian and I get all that. But at the same time, you go get yours, and I'm super passionate about that. So obstacles for women, that's really what you say your obstacles are. I think if there's something out there that you want, go get it.
Well, and to your point earlier, you show up, let people know that you're there and you want it, whatever it is, and don't hide. How do you kind of answered this already, but how do you support other women in our industry?
Yeah. Just kind of like what I was saying before. I start here, right? Like I want people to see me as an example of not that she's got everything together, but actually she's actively working on keeping everything together. And what are the tools and tricks in her world that she uses to make sure that she has that counterbalanced life? And, like this morning was a great opportunity. Like I can get off track all the time, right? I get off my eating habits and I can feel tired and congested. And then I can say, you know what, today's a new day. I want to get up and I want to meditate. I want to spend some time thinking and feeling my body and stretching and doing all the things that I do. So I feel like, supporting women just kind of comes from leading by example and not just showing up and saying the things you're going to do, but actually doing the things that you say you're going to do and letting people see that as an example.
I think that's great. And that kind of leads right into the next question as what advice would you give to this next generation of female empire builders regardless of age? Because to your point, Kay started at 60, it sounds like, or reinvented herself at 60.
Yeah.
What
so
advice?
One of my favorite quotes is by Benjamin Franklin. And he says, I knew a man once that died at 25, but was buried at 75. And what that really means is that they stopped learning. They stopped being curious. They stopped exploring all of the wonders of the world and all the things that were available to them. So I would just say, never stop being curious, never stop asking questions, never stop trying to learn new things and grow your mind. I would also say, if you do not own real estate, as a real estate professional, you need to be buying real estate. Even today, even though prices are higher, it is still a phenomenal and affordable time to start building your equity. So if you haven't thought about buying your first investment property, or you haven't thought about buying your first house, what a better way to educate your clients and to educate others on what it's like to grow your net worth than by doing it yourself. I think it feels empowering to understand how the process works and to be able to coach people through that. And then the last thing I would say is you need to start leveraging yourself, and that can be in your personal world and that can be in your business world. But going back to the whole idea that not all activities are created equal, don't spend your time doing things that don't elevate the purpose of your life.
Awesome. earlier you had talked about branding, and in preparing for this mastermind, I looked up your Instagram, and all Anna Kate in Town is all over the place. And clearly you guys have nailed it as far as branding. What have you done, or what did you do to differentiate yourself from all of the real estate agents in Atlanta?
I don't know that I can say that I'm different than all the real estate agents in Atlanta, but I can say that I can articulate what I do really well, which I think a lot of other real estate agents don't do, right? We come in for the listing appointment and we're all about telling people what to do and how to do it, right? But then for them to understand, well, where is my value? Where do I show up in this equation to bring something different? And for me to understand, how do I really understand what value I bring to the table? I had to figure out what I was authentically really good at. And I want you all to hear this, because a lot of people, you'll see somebody maybe up on stage at family reunion, or you'll have somebody come talk to your market center and you'll be like, wow, I really like that she or he is like this. And then you kind of do this whole imposturing thing where you try to create your story around what you heard that person be really good at. And then you now all of a sudden have this inauthenticity around your value, and that's not going to work. You're going to get called out at some point, right? You're not going to convert at a high level. So I had to sit back and think, what am I really so good at that I knew intrinsically would help people get to their goal line? And for me, like I mentioned, that was problem solving. No, that sounds simple, but people need to be able to hear you articulate when they come to you and they want to sell their house, when they want to buy a house. Effectively, they have an opportunity or a problem. They're getting divorced. They need more space. They're moving to Florida. They need to wait till school's end. They lost their job in COVID, and they need somebody to show up that's going to take that off their plate, that's going to solve their problem, that's never going to give up until the result is achieved. Like an Energizer bunny. Like, I really feel like I'm an Energizer bunny, and people need to feel that with them to know that they're partnering with the right person. So I think you really just need to think about, what do you do that's not so unique, but something that is really just really strong in your personal belief system or the way that you operate with your clients, that you can create a very succinct, clear message around how you're going to provide value when you're helping your people.
I like that. I think in so many of these masterminds, we hear like, find your value proposition and what, but I like that you put it so simply, like, what are you so good at? That's a little more easy to figure out than what's your value proposition. This year, you mentioned that you're looking to leverage yourself out of production. So do you have any other primary focuses for your business, or is that your one thing?
Yeah. So my one thing, I mean, that's a big one thing. So don't make me have two one things. Okay. Cause then I'm going to be upset. So I've got one thing in my business, which is to leverage myself out of production. And then I have one thing in my personal life. Well, actually it's more than one thing in my personal life, but they all kind of roll up to being present. And it's supported by words like gratitude and being purposeful. I think time is such a wormhole right now. I literally, I was talking to my team today, and we were scheduling our quarterly review, and I'm like, well, we just had summit like 2 weeks ago. That was in October. And we're going to look up one day and we're going to be dead. And I just feel like we need to be so present to what's happening right now. It doesn't mean you can't plan for the future. It doesn't mean that you can't, goal set, but in the moment, in the moment that you're spending time listening to me, when you get off this call, whatever you do next, are you actually doing that thing? Or are you trying to do 100 things in that one moment? So for me, as a mother, spending time with my kids, I took a ski trip this year, which I was so grateful to have, our team sort of take the reins. And of course I check email because that's how I'm wired, but like, I didn't worry one bit. I was able to be a mother 100% and a wife 100% on that trip. And it was awesome. And I'm grateful for that. So if that means my business is falling apart, down the road, I have to choose in that moment, I'm staying present. But when I'm working on my business, I'm 100% working on my business. So I think for me, the business thing is leveraging myself out of production, and my personal life is presence.
I love that. I love that. What are some beliefs or habits that attribute to your success to where you are today?
Well, Allison probably is so tired of hearing me say this over and over. But, you know, I stole this from Mark Willis, and maybe he stole it from somebody else. But I really, really do believe how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you really think about that, like you cannot show up and be a rock star listing agent if you've not put the work in to become a rock star listing agent. So I remember a time when I turned 30, I remember thinking that 30 was so old. And don't laugh at me because I'm way past that now, and I'm definitely not old. But when I turned 30, I was like, I will not let my 30s conquer me. And I decided to sign up to run my first marathon. And I didn't just up and run 26 miles overnight. I started with 5Ks and 10Ks and half marathons. But when I was training for the marathon, there was so much dedication. There was so much rigidity around my training schedule and what I needed to eat, when I needed to run, how far I needed to run, that in other areas of my life, I started seeing massive results around accomplishments because I was doing that in one area of my life. You can't be half awesome. You're either going to be awesome or you're not. So I would take this a step further and figure out who you are behind closed doors. Like, who are you when your team's not around? Who are you when your clients aren't watching you? Are you doing the things that you need to do to be awesome when it's time to get on the field? And when you show up and you meet with that buyer and that seller, or your recruit or whoever you're meeting with, you will be prepared because everything that you did prior to that is exactly how you're going to show up. You must practice how you expect to play. So that's to me, I can stop there, and maybe it's a mic drop, maybe it's not, I'm not sure, but that's the biggest thing for me. A really simple thing, answer your phone, call people back.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy.
That's a mic drop.
Yeah, I know that sounds crazy. I don't mean to ask that of you guys, but it's pretty basic and pretty awesome when you do that.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. I love it. We're big fans of Mark Willis up here in Nashville.
I love Mark Willis.
He's awesome. He's so good. There's one more question, and then I want to open the floor up for some questions. How are we getting in our own way?
I hate to keep referencing Allison, but she'll find this funny. In my case, sometimes it's by not getting out of the way.
Mm-hmm. By thinking you're the only one that can do something at the level you want, or kind of explain that.
Just get out of the way. I mean, if you have people, let them do their thing.
Okay.
If you don't have people, then I would say what gets in your way, or how do we get in our own way, is simply by having the belief that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, you don't deserve success. You know, all the things that we tell ourselves. I think some people are really frightened to actually lead generate. I think most people are actually wildly frightened of being successful, because it comes in the form of like, oh my God, am I going to be busier? How will I manage this? What hard decisions will I have to make next? And, you know, that to me is so crippling. You have to start with your mindset, and everything else will work itself out.
Yep. That's so true. Mindset is incredibly powerful. That's the list of questions I had prepared, but I have a feeling there are a lot of folks on this call that have other questions. So to respect your time, can you stay on for a little longer?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also encourage tactical questions. I hope that was value, but it's also like conceptual. And I know sometimes when I go to these masterminds, like I just needed that one nugget, like around an open house. And I was like, that was what I needed to hear. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions around anything that you guys want to ask. And then my 2-year-old's going to have a cameo here in a second. I can hear it.
Awesome. Well, you guys, what did you hear from Anna thus far? I know I have a page full of notes, so I'm happy to share if someone else.
I have a question.
Hi, Sarah.
I want to say thank you, because there were so many things that you just said that I wrote down that were like very similar to my inner dialogue. So just thank you. But I think I'm at an arc where I'm learning in a day, time blocking for zooming out and zooming in. And zooming in, I mean like the day-to-day kind of stuff, but zooming out, like what you were talking about, like your conceptual time. And I want to just hear from you, like how you break down your days and weeks And this might have been your prior time when you were more in your own production, of how you were able to kind of like balance all those together, literally in a day or a week or a month. Or
I don't have my book with me right now, but I'll show you a blank one. So look, just because I'm not set, like, I mean, I am in production, but just because that's not my focus right now doesn't mean that I also don't have big rocks and small rocks, right? So I would break your world down into working in your business and working on your business, right? And I think working in the business is going to be that, what we would call the whirlwind, you know, writing the contract, following up with that lead, getting that house opened, you know, all that stuff that just feels like it's dollar productive, but it takes time, right?
right.
But if you just let your day be consumed by that, I think we can all agree that we all have maximum energy in the morning, right? After your cup of coffee, maybe you've taken a cold shower, whatever it is that you do in the morning to sort of, you got your brain power. You know, we start off with this full tank of gas, and by the end of the day, you're going to be really low on fumes, right? So there's a couple things that I have to integrate in order for me to stay on track. One of them, I can tell you without a doubt, the days that I sleep in or just need to hit snooze a few more times are my worst days. They're my worst days. I have no clarity. I'm like firefighting right out of the gate. So that's the first thing that I try to avoid. I'm actually really trying to be purposeful and getting up at least 30 minutes before my kids do. Because it's like the moment they wake up, my priority is no longer me, right? So when I wake up, I know we have Clubhouse. I know we have Instagram. I know we have Facebook. I know we have CNN that says start your day here. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do not let somebody else set your priorities for the day. It is really easy to get sidetracked with all the things that are out there right now. So for me, it's about setting that morning routine. And if you're somebody who's struggling with a morning routine, I would highly encourage you to follow Hal Elrod on his podcast, which is it's not the one thing goal setting. Hal Elrod's is The Miracle Morning. And he is phenomenal at helping you really understand the difference between like the minutia that you have to like do every day, but putting your big rocks down first. And a lot of that comes from getting up, drinking a glass of water, not checking your email, doing something for yourself. I have this little mini book, you know, I don't care what planner y'all use or how you schedule your day. I'm digital and I'm paper, but I'm a night before planner. So I like to sit down, and in this, maybe you can see it. I'll show it to you. This one's my blank one. But for example, it has, can you see this? My big three. So you have like your three things that if I want to go to bed feeling fulfilled, I have to accomplish these three things today. It's not your to-do list. It's your priorities. What are my priorities for the day? If these three things don't happen, it doesn't matter what else I do to stay busy. I haven't moved the ball forward, right? So I have to kind of be very clear, and I tend to do that the night before to say, what do I need to move forward tomorrow? And then the to-do list is bonus. So does that help kind of how I break things down? It's like you'll have your 411 if you use that in your world. And if you're not using a 411, it's a game changer. I kind of got off track for about a half a decade, and I'm back. And it's very clear because clarity can create massive action. If you are not clear on what you need to be doing every day and what your priorities are, you will just spend your time with your brain cycling on everything that needs to happen, and you will create this feeling of overwhelm that's not actually real. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much.
And tactically, my coach, if you kind of are getting to the point where you feel like, wow, the spring season's upon us, I feel like everybody's calling me or nobody's calling me, and you're just having all these feelings of anxiety, and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, did I get that lead-based paint signed? Oh my God. You need to put a yellow piece of paper, put a yellow pad next to your bed every night, and literally, it doesn't matter if it's around planning your wedding or your family vacation or that lead you forgot to follow up with, write it down, just jot it down next to your bed. Doesn't have to be in order. Just get it out of your brain, because you will not sleep well if you have all those things swirling around in your head. You will have weird dreams. You will wake up feeling really out of sorts. And then in the morning, you can figure out where those things fall into your priority list.
I love that. It's so, that notepad concept is so simple, but I bet it's a total game changer.
Total game changer. It's not my to-do list. It's just like literally everything. And then when I get it down on paper, I'm like, well, that's not that big of a deal. Who cares about that? We'll get that done.
Can I ask
But
a
when it's in
question?
your brain, you're like, oh my God, I got so much to do.
Exactly. All right,
Somebody
somebody
answer,
else.
Sarah.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, can you hear me?
I can. And your name is one of my favorite drinks.
My name? Paloma? Okay. So I'm also a mother. Yeah, I have 2 babies. I have an almost 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And as I'm getting my hands in the real estate world and just really starting my career, I just got my license. And I have business coach. I'm using all the Keller Williams tools. I'm doing all that I can. And I just wonder, from another wife like yourself, did you or do you tend to like create a schedule or technology off at this time so that you can be present to your children? Do you like schedule in the time and the quality time with your family? Or I just want to, I'm asking these things because I don't want to lose my soul and my purpose, which I feel motherhood is absolutely one of my biggest gifts in this world, and I want to honor that, but I also want to give real estate my all. So how do you balance those things in the clearest way that is nourishing?
So I mean, obviously COVID was a real eye-opener for probably most families this year, right? Like, how do we handle the kids being at home and working? And I discovered some things during that process. Now, I don't know if your kids are in daycare or in school at all. Are they at home all day?
Home.
They're at home. And are you in charge of that?
Yes. I have a baby.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
You might want to get some leverage, and you can't feel guilty about that, because what you're not doing is being a mother full-time when you're working full-time. So I would suggest, and again, obviously if finances are an issue, please don't let me impose that on you. But I would say if you could find a way to even have 2 to 3 hours of like 100% Paloma focus time, when you do spend time with your kids, you could be more purposeful, because you cannot be 50% of the time, all the time across both platforms. Like, there's nothing worse than like trying to send a text to your client when your kid is trying to get your attention, because you're not giving anybody your attention. So for me, what we did during COVID, and my husband is working from home now, and we had some help, which I was really grateful to have, but even they were here, right? So they wanted my attention. So I would literally, you don't need to give them the moon every day, all the time. You need to give them 15 minutes of uninterrupted, eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly, pouring into them, telling them that color that they just picked out was amazing. And I love brown. You should color everything brown. It was such a great choice. And you're just spending that like really dedicated fragment of time. So their cup gets filled out. Their cup gets filled up. So when you do go back to the computer, they're not trying to get you to print a color page every 7 minutes like mine were doing. And I'm like, why are you still in here? So you have to find that balance. And then for the evenings, and again, I don't know if you're buyers, sellers, or both or whatever, but it is okay to have your family be an appointment. In fact, that should be the most important appointment. Both of my kids are in school. Actually, one's home today because their teacher has COVID. But I would say that on a normal day, they go to their class. They come home at right now around 4:30. And I tell my clients that I have an appointment between 5 and 8:30 with my family. And unless something's on fire, they can hear from me before or after or tomorrow. It's not so important that we need to ditch our most important asset, which is our family. So I would say you need to carve out some specific times. Maybe you have your time in the morning. You give these little, maybe every day you decide to go on a family walk at noon, and you give of your time, that lunchtime, you're going to go on a quick family walk for 30 minutes, and then you come back and you be purposeful. But you can't kind of straddle it and do both things well at the same time always.
Okay, that's really good advice. Thank you.
When I love the 10 to 15 minutes of uninterrupted attention with your kid, that is going to feel like a whole lot of time to your kid, and it's not much out of your day. But don't have your phone next to you. Like, let your child choose the activity. Yeah, maybe it's coloring, but I think that's great advice, Anna.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, what else did you guys hear? What do you want more info on.
Hey, Sherry, I see you sitting over there.
So I will ask, and do you do your own hiring?
I ultimately have the final say, but I use a combination of my operations team to help me screen some of those. And I have used consulting firms in the past to sort of help put people through the process. I would say for our salespeople, I usually have our operations people, and in the past it's been Allison, go do like a coffee meeting or do a KPA with them to see if they're even worth having that further conversation with for our team, because they might be looking for something different or not looking to be on a team. And then if it's for operations, obviously that's a little bit slower to hire in that department because that's a pretty crucial role. But I have used a hybrid of, I have a great consultant who would help people out of state. It's a pretty easy process. If you need a reference, I'm happy to provide that. And also setting up a process that you use every time. I always make people, when I'm hiring them for an operations role or someone who's going to be on my payroll, I create a situation where they have to provide me homework. So they have very specific instructions, how they're going to title their email, what types of things they need to provide. And then it sends them to a place where they need to fill out a disc profile and submit their resume. And if they can't follow basic instructions, their email just gets deleted.
That's so smart. That's awesome.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Wonder where Mark Willis got that quote.
I'll ask him. I don't know.
Any big takeaways, you guys? Anything that you heard that maybe other people didn't hear that you want to share? I know one of mine was just get clear on your priorities. Like, Anna, I love that you have the top 3 things each day. That is not your to-do list, because you can be, all of us can be busy every day, but to feel accomplished, like Anna, I think that's great that you've got these 3 big rocks each day. That really helped me, I think, get more clear on what my days look like.
Y'all struggling with anything tactical?
Hey, Anna, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, this is Katie Prendergast. I am interested to hear a little bit more about your process for leveraging yourself out of the business. I'm just on the cusp of that same move and would love to hear a little bit of the tactics around what you're thinking through, what you're looking at, and how you intend for that to go in the months ahead.
Yeah, well, the first thing is to be very clear around what it is that you've brought to the business so far, right? Like, you need to know who needs to be in place to make sure that the business's profitability does not suffer because of your detachment, right? So if you're looking at your P&L, you basically need to say, all right, I did all this production in 2020. And if I were to hire a listing specialist, let's use 25% for round numbers. Ours go up and down depending on source. Let's say 25% for all the production that I did in listings, it would cost the business 25% more if I had somebody else do that. And that's assuming that those people could convert at the same rate that I could with my people, right? So we have to kind of factor in some fallout there. And on the buy side is the same thing, as 40 or 50%. So you have to look at the cost of sales that's going to be incurred to figure out what people need to be in place in order for them to replace the income to your business. Does that make sense? The second thing is ensuring that your people understand what your expectations are of them to working with your people, right? It's really easy if we get a Yelp lead and I can just give it to somebody on the team because they're sort of creating that relationship. But if I've had, a 5-time past client that calls me up in spring and says, hey, I want to list my house. Well, they have an experience with working with Anna Kalinsky. They're going to want the experience of working with Anna Kalinsky. I have to be very clear with my expectations with the people that are working with my people. Hey, my people have worked with me in the past, and here's what they expect from me, which is I need to make sure that these things are in place when you go to work for them. And then obviously inspecting what you expect, right? You got to make sure and check in to make sure that your people are handling your sphere and your leads that you're giving them to the highest standard, right? What you would expect because your name's on the door. I would probably want to figure out some sort of strike policy. Not that I'm trying to penalize people, but like if I'm starting to lose business as a result of somebody, I need to kind of understand what that looks like and how do we get them back in alignment. So that's kind of on the sales piece. But also when we set our goals for this year, our team goal was completely not including my production. So it lets everybody else see how they're performing, and they're not able to hide behind the momentum of everything that I brought to the business in the past.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sure does. Thank you.
Sure. Good luck. Call me.
Thank
Let's
Thanks.
All right. You guys have other questions or ahas that we can
So-
share?
Big aha for me, at least, quote, clarity can create massive action, unquote. That was great. Mic drop.
All right, you guys. Well, Anna, I know you mentioned a lot of podcasts, a lot of books, and I think Alex wrote some of those down, but you all will post those on our Facebook page. The Miracle Morning was one that stands out in my mind. I think you're right. Waking up a few minutes before your kids can change the whole trajectory of your day, and making time for yourself is wildly valuable. So thank you for mentioning that. And of course, if you guys have referrals for Atlanta, you know where to send them.
I always tell people Atlanta is humongous. And if you're not sure where in the metro area they're looking, if you call us first and we're not the right fit, because we won't take something we can't really truly service, I will tell you who to call.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, unless anybody has anything else, I think we can wrap that up. Anna, this was so helpful. Thank you for sharing and
You're
being so
welcome.
wonderful.
Honored to be a part of it.
Well, we really appreciate it. So here's to 2021. You guys, thank you.
Thank you.
And if anybody needs to email me, I'm happy to be patient with me, but happy to help you in any way that I can. It's Anna K, the letter ANNAK, at AnnaKintown.com.
That's great. Thank you so much, Anna. That was awesome.
Of course.
I stayed quiet. I did good, didn't I?
Great.
Awesome.
Oh, my dad says hi, by the way. I told him I was talking with you.
Yeah, please tell him I said hi. That's awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks so much. If anybody wants to stay on and do some masterminding, you're welcome to do so. If not, I think we can put a fork in it.